Over to El Paso, Texas, to visit the towns devastated by this weekend's mass shootings. His visits are being met by a lot of pushback from both politicians and locals alike. Meanwhile, Beto O'Rourke has begun a new Twitter war with the president over his visit, and another presidential candidate, Joaquin Castro, unleashing a detailed list of conservative donors out to the media. Joining us to break it all down, our panel today. Reese Everson, she is an attorney and founder of Babes in the Workplace, and conservative commentator Steve Malzberg. Okay, folks, let's start with the POTUS visits to Dayton and El Paso. We know that the leaders of both of those towns have actually spoken out and said they didn't want the president to come, although the El Paso mayor says that he feels it's his civic duty to welcome the president. Let's start with Reese. How do you take all of this, Reese? People saying, no, Mr. President, don't come here. Should the president have gone?
I believe it's important to listen to the people who've spoken out, who live in El Paso, and say that El Paso is a place of peace, and that the president's words have incited the hate that took place there, that brought the hate to El Paso. Mind you, the person who committed this atrocious act drove over 600 miles to El Paso to specifically look for people who were of Hispanic descent. And so the people of El Paso are saying that the hate that was ushered in February by the president is not welcome, was not welcome in February, and it's not welcome now. If these words that he used in February have incited, you repeatedly using the word invasion over and over, which was repeated by the person who committed this crime, then no, we don't need more of this, energy coming from this person who is inciting this violence. The apology is too late. These people are now gone, and their families are left to grieve their loss. It's unacceptable.
Steve, what's your take?
I love seeing Trump derangement syndrome up close and personal. The president did not incite this violence. The shooter specifically knew that the media and the left would do this. He specifically said, I've had these feelings long before Donald Trump ever became president. If you want to talk about Ohio, which I know the media and the Democrats don't, the shooter was a Elizabeth Warren supporter. He wrote stuff that sounded like it was right out of the socialist playbook. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump, but the media is silent. When Cory Booker goes on a late-night show and says, my testosterone makes me want to punch the president in the face, or when Joe Biden says, I'd like to beat the crap out of Trump, that's okay. That's wonderful. But Donald Trump is responsible for all the evil in the world. Give me a break.
Well, is that fair, Reese, to designate, the actions of two very estranged young men on the president specifically?
You know what? Here's the truth of the matter. We're not here to say that Donald Trump is the reason for all of the hate that exists in America. We are here to say that he is inciting it, and he's a hate mongerer, using his words, saying things like, back in my day, they would get that guy. He's at his rally, Make America Great Again rally, saying, back in my day, we'd get that guy and we'd hurt them. And he's basically telling his supporters it's okay to use violence. More importantly, on the next level, America's a relatively young country, right? So back when I was told how to train a dog, I was told that you put the dog's nose in its mistake so that it can smell it and realize that it shouldn't do it again. Right now, America has to take responsibility for these actions of these young domestic terrorists and literally put their nose into what's happening. Where did these people come from? You're not just dealing with a few strange people. You are actually having people who are hearing the dog whistles of the commander-in-chief. Back in the 60s and the 50s, it was the KKK recruiting hate. Now you have the actual commander-in-chief saying to people that it's okay to tell people to go back to where they came from and using hate language.
But now, Steve, before you chime in on that, though, I'll let you chime in on this angle, though. The president has spoken out, and he has been asking and calling for unity. He's condemned these incidents, these massacres, and it seems like the media, though, won't allow him to call for unity.
No, because the media made the New York Times change a headline. Look, the bottom line here is that this is insane. We have Antifa beating up people, and people like Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon defend Antifa. I haven't heard anybody on the left take Antifa to task. Now, the president, I believe, is going to declare them a terrorist